Hi, welcome to the How She Made It Summit, where we are talking about what it really takes to create wealth in your life. And today I have the beautiful Leanne Jacobs with me. Leanne Jacobs is the founder and owner of Beautiful Money. She's a holistic wealth mentor and many, many other things, which I'm sure she's going to share with you. And she's also the author of Beautiful Money, which was published by Random House. Leanne, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy that you were here, and we get to play together even more after this, so we'll share more about that too. So can you just introduce yourself and just share about who you are, what you do, and the gifts that you bring to the world?
Yeah, so I wasn't always an entrepreneur. I sort of started my career in corporate, and then honestly, I didn't even think about becoming an entrepreneur until I was in my late 20s, and it was like a download almost overnight of like, you need to become an entrepreneur. So I didn't really totally map out my path as an entrepreneur. I just kind of jumped in, and it's evolved, to where I am today and who I am today. But basically, in a nutshell, I have a deep, deep passion for mentoring women specifically, but there's always some men in the room as well. And I really teach people how to create alignment through their life. So I would say kind of this is my healing work is helping people to find alignment and to craft a holistic wealth plan around what they're doing, because I was in that place too. If you're chasing money or pursuing money but neglecting your connection to the earth and to your body, what's the point? It's kind of absurdity. So that's my specialty. I work a lot with women entrepreneurs, with moms, with people who have huge global visions. But I work with a lot of people too who are very creative. So they're like, they want to do a million things. And it's like, okay, if you want to keep well and in alignment, clarity is really the secret. And sometimes it doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it can take like half a decade to figure that out, and we're not always patient enough to be able to handle that. Yeah. So to be able to hold space for great success, a lot of women I work with, they're like, I want to be crazy successful. I want these global brands. It's like, are you ready to hold space for that kind of energy? Because you don't want to do the crash and burn model. Although we kind of tend to all do it anyway. Even if we read all the books, have all the mentors, sometimes you have to learn through experience. So that's kind of a long-winded answer to, I guess, my specialty is teaching women to create holistic wealth. And I believe that's the new era of financial leadership.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And I love that you're talking about the patience point in there and not rushing it as well, because there is a container that we need to grow into as well to really create that.
Yeah.
It's an international brand, or create more wealth, money, health in our life as well as we grow. And I think there's a message that's out there at the moment about how you can make money really, really quickly, or you can get success really, really quickly. And I think there's a huge misconception there that's been happening through the marketing, where there's not full truth or authenticity being shared around, well, how long was your journey to that?
The other thing is, for a lot of people, if they make the money too quickly and it's not based on truth, it's not sustainable. So there's usually a crash and burn, or it's like a little bit of a hot mess going on in the back end that you don't see. Right?
Yeah.
So one of the universal sub-laws is patience. And it's funny because that is the virtue I know in this lifetime I have to work on. My husband is the most patient person on the planet, and I'm spaz, right? So I read, when you're not fully developing this universal sub-law, it's like I was reading about how and it was like you get overexcited and hyper. It's like, and I was like, oh gosh, this is totally me. And this is the thing. It's like sometimes we get excited, but when we like, sometimes I get a little ungrounded because I'm too hyper. I know it's like practicing patience is always going to be my work. And it's great to be creative, and it's great to have passion, but at the same time, you also have to work with divine timing.
Yes.
Maybe it isn't your path to have crazy success tomorrow. You know, maybe it's going to take 4 years, but work on yourself in the process
Yeah.
and do what you need to do to stand in total truth and to be this vibrant being of true, authentic leadership.
Yeah, and that's all the journey as well. Like stepping into our own authentic self is such a journey, because years and years of putting on the mask of trying to be a certain way and be a people pleaser and be liked and all these sorts of things, it can be really hard to like shed that back and say, you know what, this is who I am. I'm not perfect. I'm flawed, but I'm a leader. I care about what I do, the way that I want to show up. And I know for me, as someone that is a community builder and leader, I'm constantly questioning myself around my authenticity, and am I fully showing up and being the truth of who I am, and the patience part as well. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, it's like, I mean, it's funny because in the big scheme of things, time is kind of a made up thing on this planet, right? But the universe doesn't really know time. But because we're so conditioned, sometimes it can feel like, oh, why is this taking so long? You know, like why if and sometimes too it's like it's so based on authenticity and we expect if it is, it should be overnight success because we're so being true. That's not always the case. You know, things have to line up in the back end as well. And there's some development we need to do as human beings in some areas, and work out our own little lovely kinks in the process.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you. I think the marketing, but behind fast and quick and build a tribe in a day and you'll get 1 million followers in a week. You know, we're all instant gratification people. So we're not developing those muscles that like Olympic athletes develop. You know, like we still have to develop them. There's no fast way. And again, for some people, it's like they learn some of the tricks. So they might get, in the short term, they might see the success, but if you're not building your muscles at the same time, it's not going to be sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you brought up athletes as well, because when I was as the brand and marketing director for Speedo in Australia, I got to access and work with a lot of Olympic athletes. And it was such an incredible insight into the way that they continue to show up in the nth degree in their training. Like, to the point when I was creative directing photo shoots and things, and we would have to direct them in the movements that they would make, we would give them like the slightest movement, because sometimes the slightest movement in a photo shoot, I know that you've been in marketing and advertising as well, can make a really big difference. And we'd say, like, just move your head a quarter of an inch to the left and at a 45-degree angle, and they would get it.
Yeah.
Like that. And it was such a good insight, because it reminded me of like that ongoing, constant, never giving up, resilient, day after day training got their bodies and their minds so conditioned to the way that they could compete. And I think being an entrepreneur, there's a part of that we forget as well. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be sloppy. Like, they train some days and they would come like, oh, I didn't have a good day, right? Where a not good day for them would be an astounding day for us. But
Yes.
we forget, and then they've been training since like their early teens as well, and then all of a sudden we decide we want to create this business, we want to have a huge impact in our lives, and when the money's not showing up or whatever it is,
And we want it now. We want it right now because we're ready. We want it right now. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's something that we almost have a duty and a responsibility to, especially in a mentorship role, to teach that, you know, you need to develop patience, and it's not always pretty. You know, sometimes it might mean, you know, we have to fall 1,000 times, just like Olympic athletes. But every time we pick ourselves up, we're developing that resilience muscle a little bit more. And we might not see the results, but when that pendulum swings and the doors open to abundance, it's going to be like, where was this for the past 5 years, you know? So it's almost like putting in the work and trusting in the process and developing that patience.
Yeah. And there was something that you said earlier that I really connected with, was about alignment, like everything lining up. And I think there's often that we look at other women and we look at them and go, oh my God, they're so successful, I want that, you know, and there can be pangs of envy or even jealousy of like,
Mm.
how did she do it? But that's
Yes.
what's going on in the background. And also I think I see a lot of women and men as well that look like they've been successful in an instant, but I think something's happened where there has been this total alignment of like the containers expanding.
Yes.
They've done the work, they see the capacity, the unfolding's taken place, and then all of a sudden it's like, zoop.
Yes.
Yeah,
Totally. And I think sometimes like chaos is order sometimes, right? And sometimes when we feel like we're in a total hot mess, dark night of the soul, nothing is working well, it's like that's when the order is all lining up. We just aren't yet seeing that in front of our eyes. And I think for sure, like I'm guilty of it too. I'm a person of like, I need to be in nature. I need to be connected to the earth. And so being online, I can get a little bit obsessive because I have good work ethic and I can be in front of the computer but it's not in my best health interest sometimes. So when I pop on Instagram and I see these people with like their perfect story graphics and like everything looks so gorgeous, and I'm like, oh, I need to go find a graphic designer. You know, like it triggers my perfectionism. And we all can fall in that trap. And I think sometimes if we recognize it, maybe get off social media that day or even for a couple of hours, you know, watch where you're too attached, because the ego is going to try to take you down in those areas.
totally.
So it's a practice of non-attachment. And that's hard sometimes because there are people I'm just like, do they have some magical team behind them who like everything is always gorgeous? And I want to know like what their secrets are. But again, it's like having respect and admiration too, to be like, but also it's like, it's not me to have these perfect, aesthetically perfect posts, you know, it's just, I'm just not like that, you know, I'm more in the raw and the natural. So it's also knowing it's like, why does that trigger you? You know, why when you look at this person's brand or business, do you feel not good enough? And then contemplate that, but then also it's like, maybe I need to go outside today, or like go to 2 yoga classes today, just to kind of get myself in my groove.
Yeah, I think perfectionism is such a way of the ego keeping us stuck or small or not in the head.
And there's an awesome book that I often recommend in my workshops called Power versus Force. But it basically is a book that guides you to the science behind vibration of emotion and the vibration of shame. Like it's pretty much as low as you can get on the vibrational scale. For women, we tend to make up for shame as we get older through perfectionism. It's our way of trying to mask shame. And I was like, I never thought about that. But, you know, as women, oftentimes when we're kids, we get shamed. You know, like maybe we got kicked out of the girl group, you know, like in grade 3 or whatever. We've all gone through it or had a mean girl experience. But that little shame when we're little kids carries with us as we become adults. And I thought that was just like, maybe that's because I was a crazy perfectionist in my 20s. And it took me down, like it really did. And I totally surrendered to it. And now I'm just like, F it, you know, I don't even care. But it creeps up once in a while. And I have to keep my eye on it because I think you can heal it to some degree, but I think there are some tissue residuals that stay with you. And if you're not careful, like I know if I'm not careful, I can fall into that trap of like, oh, I need to like look perfect and like get everything all perfect. But then I go to yoga and it kind of heals me. So I've got sort of like some rituals that I do when I'm starting to feel the ego like moving me back towards perfectionism.
Great. And are some of those rituals like finding a joy, like going to yoga or connecting with nature, or just getting back to the essence of who you are?
Yeah, having somebody to talk it out with, like my husband is such a good listener. Like I think I got home from Sedona last night and drove home in a blizzard, and I was talking to him from the second I landed to like 1 a.m. And I think I talked the whole time, and he just listened, gracefully listened to my spazzy energy. But to have somebody, it can be like a friend or a mentor or somebody that you can get that energy out, a journaling. I have an amazing spiritual teacher that I work with, yoga, meditation, chi machine. Like I have sort of a list. I find green tea and juicing grounds me too. So when I'm feeling a bit spazzy or my energy's going in the wrong direction, just little things like a green tea, it's like there's something about it. You just know it's like based on truth. It just like grounds you and warms your body. It's amazing. So just little things like that help. They're so wonderful. And even if you could pick a couple of them to do a day, it doesn't have to be 10, like 1 or 2 things.
Totally.
It's pretty awesome when you just start small and get back to simple, and take crap off your plate that somehow got in there that you hate. Like it doesn't bring you joy. It makes you feel overwhelmed. It's not in alignment with your truth, but it creeps up if you're not cleansing on a regular basis. So I sort of have a ritual every day. I cleanse it, like whether it's clothes or my schedule. If I'm not careful, my schedule pukes activities like instantly. I don't even know how it gets there. So I have to be really mindful to be like, I schedule space in my calendar before I schedule activities.
Yeah. 100%.
Because the old me, and I'm sure you're like this from being in corporate, I'm so used to rolling like 15 things in a day that now it gives me anxiety because I kind of graduated past that. And when I regress back, I feel my nerves instantly go bananas.
Yeah.
So I have to have calm. And now as a mom with 4 kids, like basically 1 thing a day is what I can handle now. And I have to know that about myself. I could bust out more, but it will be totally out of alignment and full of anxiety. Yeah. So I just have to like surrender to it. I can't have a million things. I can't have 100 projects on the go. I like to, because that's kind of how I used to roll.
Yeah.
But it's just not authentic.
It's a habit to break as well as a doer and an achiever as well. Even just yesterday for me, I got to like 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the whole day I was just kind of pushing through. I was feeling tired. I wasn't feeling energized. I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing, which is not the norm, but it happens. And I was like, I'm gonna have a nap. I'm gonna have a nap, and I fought it because the guilt came up, and I'm like, this is the part of the growing process, the things I'm teaching, the things that I'm learning for myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm allowed to do these things.
Yes. Why is there guilt around naps?
I know.
My husband, like, he's such a great napper, and he just has been doing that since he was a teen. And he's like, why don't you ever nap? I'm like, I don't know. It is so uncomfortable for me. I avoid it like the plague, even though it's what I need. Like a quick little nap in the day. Why do I feel so guilty? And even like I went to Sedona and I was like, I feel guilty taking the day off, and I can, but it's sometimes it's like wired in you from so many years. And even meditation, my spiritual mentor has been telling me since I was 28 to meditate. I'm 42 now. I'm just starting to meditate regularly. She's been telling me as soon as you start meditating daily, all your stuff is going to fall into place.
Yeah.
And I know this in my soul, but my head has fought it for over a decade.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like anyone who's in meditating in that space, this is what the world needs to heal. And the more people preaching meditation, or, like my friend just opened this incredible meditation company for corporations.
Oh.
They actually go in to heal employees and do corporate retreats for meditation. And they'll customize it to the company's mandate and mission. And if they only have 10 minutes, they will customize it. It's amazing. And I'm like, this is good work. So I think, and every book I read, it's like, just meditate for 5 minutes. And I know the angels have been telling me. But when you're a doer and an action person and someone who's very like mind has a lot of energy, you will resist, resist, resist. But it is, you almost have to over counterbalance that with even more heart energy. Right? And that's where your heart has to like lead, and your gut, like if your gut is telling you need a nap, or you need to take a week off, or you need to go on a vacation, like Saturday night, I said to my husband, I need to go to Sedona. We have 4 kids, right? So this isn't always easy. He's like, well, and I do this once a year. He's like, call your travel person. So I called Saturday night. I'm like, do you have a trip to Sedona tonight? And he's like, yes, but it's booked. You have to go tomorrow morning. So jumped on a plane, went to Sedona. And that's the gift of being an entrepreneur, right? It's like, use the freedom sometimes. And when your gut is telling you you need a little healing time, don't feel guilty, you know? And if you do, just recognize that's a negative vibration emotion, right? That guilt, it's going to take you down. If you want to be magnetic light worker in the world, you can't carry guilt. It's just not possible to carry it and get your work done in the world.
Yeah. So. It's conditioning. It's conditioning because we're conditioned that we are lovable if we are working hard and achieving. And it's just not true. And we can be lovable and achieve without having to fill our calendars and look like we're working hard as well. Yeah. So I know that you're on a tour right now, and you're going to come together in LA, but through this tour, because I know that it's like being jam-packed and every weekend, and you're a super mum with 4 kids. What are some of the things that you're learning through sharing?
Oh yeah. Okay, so this is crazy. I've been asked, I don't really do much one-on-one mentoring. It's mainly through workshops and groups, but I have been asked over the years, like, I want some deeper work on Beautiful Money. So I've resisted it. I've resisted doing like a retreat. I don't know why. I felt like maybe I wasn't quite ready or whatever the issues. But in the fall, I was like, I am ready to do this, like to commit, maybe not to a weekend retreat yet. I'm not quite there, but for a 1-day retreat. So I've kind of put all of my wisdom into a full day, 9:30 to 5, and I'm touring this globally. It's called the Beautiful Money Masterclass, and it's like a day of healing. And I say, like, as soon as you open the door, I'm holding sacred space for you where money magic is going to start happening. And honestly, everyone who came to the last one was like Facebooking me. You won't believe it. As soon as I got home, there was like a check I forgot about that I found in my desk. One person like fast-tracked her mortgage by an extra year, like just little things, but they just happened within a day. So this is really my gift to the world of what I've learned to date. And I'm so excited that you and I are partnering up in LA April 21st to host this day.
I can't wait. I can't wait. So we were talking about you're going to New York, you're going all over different places. So, being a mother of 4 and spreading this message and doing your work and being the entrepreneur, is there something most recently, like we've been talking about perfectionism and alignment, is there something that most recently has been a really great lesson at the time, probably didn't feel like one that you wanted to learn?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's been a lot of internal debate going on in my body around dharma and purpose. Huge. Like I'm a huge believer that we definitely have a mandate when we drop down on this planet. But sometimes we aren't connected to hear what it is, and it's taken me time. I've always known that my role on this planet is like teacher, mentor, like I knew that, but I was like, am I doing it in the right capacity? And so questioning, am I doing the right thing? Am I supposed to do this? Like over questioning. And sometimes you just have to let go and be like, I am supposed to be in the dark right now.
Yeah.
And learning that was okay. Like I had so many days where I'm like, maybe I'm just supposed to be a mom and make jam. Maybe I'm just supposed to throw in the towel and just make jam and whatever. Like I don't care, you know, and going through those years of like, you know, my agent saying, well, you haven't sold enough books. And then you get like people saying, well, you need to have more Instagram followers, and all this stuff can make you question your your, what's the right word? Not importance, but like how amazing you are, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like you got to stand strong in courage and pick yourself up and just keep doing it, and don't question that your work is amazing. And even if you're not 100% sure what you're supposed to be doing on this planet, it'll come. But for me, it's taken until I'm like 42. So it's taken me probably like the past 5 years, deep inner work that is not comfortable. But like, if it was easy, what would be the point, right?
Right, it's true.
But through that, you know, having my children during that period, I feel like I have so much more to contribute to people, to women, because it's not easy to be questioning your dharma while like popping out babies, let me tell you. And you have to be strong for them and show up, but also be doing this healing work yourself. And I think that's why a lot of moms go through postpartum too. It's like, I believe that you birth a lot of fear that's residual in your tissues when you're having kids.
Wow.
The fear comes out, and that's where women, sometimes they have babies, they're full of fear, and all this stuff that's been in their tissues hiding comes out, and they don't know what to do with it. It's like overwhelming, and it's really difficult to because you don't know what's going on. You're like, am I going mental? Like, what's going on with my body and my emotions? And I'm, you know, like, I'm not sleeping. It's overwhelming. And when you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to handle all that energy, so yeah, there's so much work to be done. And I also think with young women, I think they're going through these spiritual crises younger. And because they're still young in age, they don't know what to do with all that emotion.
Yeah.
So I think there's such a huge shift going on in the world that like we have so much work to do. But we need to heal ourselves first, and we need to be on a path of true authenticity and grace, and then go out in the world and like do awesome work. If we're doing shady work, or we're not in alignment, or we're working against universal law, we're just going to screw up what's already screwed up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. There's that alignment piece again. So as you move into, you know, you've written a book about beautiful money, you're doing the master classes around beautiful money, you're doing the tour. What would, and I know that this is going to be a really robust, broad question, but what are some of the key things that you could share right now? And, you know, if you're in LA or you're near LA, please come to Beautiful Money. I'm so excited that we get to partner on this together, because I'm a huge advocate for wealth creation. And wealth creation isn't necessarily just about money. It's all the health that we talked about. It's connecting with nature. It's meditation. It's like inner connection. But money is such an important part of our lives. Like, it's how we function. It's how we eat. It's how we create. You know, it's that exchange of energy. So what are some of the things that you would, some tips, I guess, that you would share with the listeners around how to create more wealth? Let's say money, because you know you're the wealth expert and we're talking about beautiful money, that they could implement today that would be that simple.
Oh my goodness, yes. Okay, so here's a couple. One is take at least 15 minutes today to clear shit that doesn't serve you. So that the physical stuff is easy, like cleansing people and emotions out of your body. Like, maybe that's not something you want to do right now. But the physical stuff is like an act that's simple, that moves you in the right direction, because clearing space is clearing space.
Yeah.
There's clearing space that's a bit more challenging, because it might come in the form of people, or again, grief or guilt. That's a little bit more challenging, and sometimes it requires people that are trained to help you do that. A simple place to start is it's symbolic. It's not about like the thing you're giving away. It's whatever you need to do today to clear some space for abundance. Because again, if you're overloaded with chaos, there's no space for the abundance to come in. So it's going to kind of look around and say, okay, who's ready for it? And it's going to pass by you. It's not that it's not there. You just can't tap into it. So clearing some space. The other tip, like I'm doing this global debt detox right now. And this is my work. Like I wanted to do this program to like help people to elevate consciousness. That's like my thing. But my husband's like, maybe you should just like start a little smaller and help the world with like clearing debt, because my husband and I, we had to clear like $300,000 of debt from an insane reno that went bananas,
Oh,
right?
wow.
With kids, with babies. Like I know what it feels like to want to throw up, because I'm somebody who is a good money manager. I'm not someone who frivolously spends. I actually don't even spend that much. But to be somebody who is a light worker and isn't used to a lot of debt, I don't even have words. Like I have so much compassion because I know what it's like. And I was like, my husband's like, why don't you teach people how we got out of it? You know, like do a program. And I was like, this is amazing. Because debt weighs you down, and when you have psychic weight, you can't manifest.
Yeah, true.
Or if you do, it's like painfully slow.
Yeah.
So a simple way to lighten your load is to get rid of debt that is feeling emotionally unhealthy for you. So that's the work that I'm doing right now. And, you know, there's so many tips I can give anyone listening who has some debt that is like weighing their psychic body down. It's just like put $20 on a debt today. Because again, it's symbolic. It's not about the number, but it's like drive to the bank and physically put $20 on a liability, because you're creating space. Another tip is, again, I feel it's important to take some time to create your holistic wealth map. And now this is kind of a deeper conversation that we're going to talk. Do I have time? Because I'm kind of rambling right now, but do I have time to say this?
Explain. Oh, well, you've got us hanging now. You have to. So, at the event, I'm sure, but
yeah. So like a holistic wealth map is like, where do you want your money to come from? Because let's face it, today, one income stream type of wealth creation is not really feasible anymore. You know, our parents, that's kind of how they rolled, but it's not feasible. So looking at, well, what brings you joy? And creating like a visual artistic map of your wealth plan. And I call it your beautiful money map. So for example, my husband and I, our path is, okay, we're bringing in income where we have joy and what feels in alignment. So for us, that means organic product line. It means a passive income stream for me through sharing my message through books. For him, it's through music. So we created this map of where our beautiful money comes from. And some of the streams aren't about right now. Maybe they're going to be started in 2 years. But create a vision that is like, where do you want your money to come from? Get clear. And that sometimes we're not trained to do this young, right? We're just like, I don't know, I'm just going to become an entrepreneur, figure it out, coach, get some coaching money, and see what else happens. You know, like there's no destination clarified on paper. Yeah. So that's something that you don't have to do this extreme plan right now, but just write down, like I did this when I was 28. I was like, okay, well, I'd love to have a book. And I started writing down like passive income streams. Where do I want my income to come from? And again, it's like, if it doesn't generate income while I'm sleeping, I don't know that it feels right for me. Unless it's a gift, like a zone of genius passion or contribution charity.
Yeah.
Right? Like one-on-one coaching for me, it didn't feel like it was my dharma. But so I was like, well, maybe I just do one client a month, you know, but everyone was doing coaching. So I was just doing it. But I was like, my intuition was like, this isn't your path.
Yeah.
You're going to do it, but you're going to keep getting a nudge that this isn't your path. And I finally listened. I'm like, okay, I get the message. But my friend, it's her zone of genius. She does like 5 of them a day. She helps all these women. It is so part of her path. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's like, listen to your gut as you're making your money, because it's going to tell you if you're kind of moving in the wrong direction.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. I love everything that you shared. And even the other day, I was at a conference in Orlando, and I was mapping out like my different streams of income. And I was just doing what you were saying. I didn't even realize I was doing it, because long term, I really want to start, well, not even that long term, but I want to start investing in real estate. And so I'm reading all the books right now. And what I'm noticing is that it's exciting me. It's about getting excited before, but then also I'm realizing it's exciting to me, but I'm looking at the long-term process and I'm like, okay, this feels good. I can do this. I know that there's going to be a journey and a learning in that, but it feels good to like be creating this another stream of like wealth growth and expansion around what I'm already creating as well that I hadn't considered before.
Yeah. And the other thing too is to look at like where your fears are around money, because again, I was a hustler and I'm like, why am I a hustler all the time? Like, it's like programmed in me. I just hustle. And I was like, it took time to get this. But I realized, and this was done through studying like Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I go through this in the workshop, but I realized at my foundation, I had this like, I don't know if it's from a past life or something, this fear of losing security. And regardless of if it's past life stuff I'm bringing into this world, it's not going to serve me to figure out the details. But I had this deep fear that I was going to lose security if I stopped hustling. And it was my program, huge. This was like a huge aha moment. And I had to learn, what if you just let go of that fear? It was uncomfortable to do that. Take a deep breath and trust it's all good and take some time off. It's so scary, but we have a lack of faith, you know?
Yep.
But I will say though, it takes time to get the courage to jump into trust, because it's like, what if everything falls apart, you know? So that was for me. So sometimes like when I'm working with entrepreneurs who are like that, it's like the fear of slowing down or the fear of letting go or the fear of pursuing their passion because of finances.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm working with someone like that right now. And it's like, I said to her, what's worst case scenario? You know, you have these credentials behind you that you could get a job in a second. So you're not going to be homeless. Maybe you have to become a minimalist for 6 months, but it's actually fun to do that and it's very healing. Yes. So what's the downside?
Yeah, we get into that fear place of like thinking about all the things that may not work when really if they didn't work, it's probably not going to be that.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I feel like I could talk to you for hours and I'm so glad that we get to play for a full day in LA on April 21st.
April 21st, yeah. I'm so excited.
Yeah. And so I'll definitely be sharing more and more about that to the people that are listening here and also outside of here as well, because I think it's something that every woman should do. Sorry, my dog, I was just explaining before. He's sitting on my lap right now. So it's money and wealth and connecting to our truth and authenticity is just key to the way that we continue to show up in the world. And the more that we do it, the more we shine the light and others are allowed to do that as well. And I think the more we can be the example, whatever way that looks like in the rawness of as well is such a beautiful way to continue on our path. And it feels good.
Yes.
So I know you have a free gift. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm sharing my beautiful money meditation, and this is probably about, I don't know, like less than 10 minutes, but it's a wonderful tool to help to just give you peace around abundance flowing towards you, becoming a money magnet, and I use it myself. It's amazing.
Oh my gosh, I'm definitely downloading that. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of months.
And thank you and hi to everybody that's listening. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much, Leanne.
Bye, everybody.